everyone to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a truly awesome looking puzzle today called The Chromatic Windmill by Eric Rathbun. Now, I've been a fan of Eric's puzzles for, well, it feels like years now. They're always highly symmetrical, as this one seems to be, rotationally symmetric, and they normally involve colouring. So I suspect we're going to be availing ourselves of the palette today in order to solve this one. And I'll read you the rules in a moment. The testers say this is a really beautiful puzzle. I presume they didn't mean chromatically beautiful. I suspect they meant logically. But we shall get into that in a moment or two. I want to start off though today with a quick discussion, if I may. We had a very interesting email last night from Caleb. And Caleb, thank you very much for sending it to us. Mark and I both found it really thought-provoking. And basically, Caleb was writing to us about the YouTube algorithm and saying that having the intros that we do, when we chat to our community, so we really like doing it, may not be the best thing in terms of the YouTube algorithm, which is a savage and vicious thing and tends to penalise videos where viewers may click into a video. They may watch a minute of it and then they make decisions about whether or not they're going to stick with it or not. And because often we're talking about the world of Sudoku for a few minutes at the start of every video, or talking about people who've done amazing solving feats over on Patreon and listing names, the chance of a new viewer sticking to the meat of the video and getting into the actual solving might be remote. And Caleb was saying that he suspects the YouTube algorithm therefore really penalises us for that, which was a bit of a sobering thought and a slightly depressing one because, because we want to grow our audience, I suppose, but we want to do it in a way which is consistent, I think, with the values that we've shown over the years and the reason that we've become, this modestly sized corner of the internet where logic and rationality seems to prevail. So we're sort of asking, I suppose, for input from you guys. What do you think we should do? Caleb's email was fascinating. It was saying that some big YouTube channels that used to have theme music, for example, 10 seconds of theme music, cut the theme music out because they noticed that the algorithm was penalising them for having theme music at the start and people were clicking off. And apparently other YouTubers edit breaths out of the start of their video so that the viewer doesn't have enough time to sort of, there's so much content, the viewer doesn't have the time to click away. I mean, this all sounds to me fairly ridiculous. We're never going to do anything like that. But it does show that there's clearly some science behind this whole topic, which is it's the puzzle that Mark and I have never got to grips with. So if anyone out there has experience, I suppose, in search engine optimization or the algorithm, and could suggest to us, I mean, one thing we could think about, for example, would be to have some of this chit chat at the start of videos. We could put it at the end of videos. I don't know. We've broken so many YouTube rules to get to the size we have already. We make these long, rambling, unedited videos with without the technology one might expect or the studio sound. But yeah, I don't think we want to get too far away from what we are. But at the same time, we'd love to grow our audience if it's possible to do it with the help of the algorithm. So some of you out there may know things, and it's to those people that we're speaking. Let us know if you have any good ideas. We would love to hear from you and really, really appreciate it. Now, don't worry, I'm still going to be doing birthdays today. So let's do some birthdays. Amelia, it's your birthday today, and I know this because your boyfriend Joe wrote to us. Oh, and I wanted to look this up, but apparently you're having Lotus Biscoff cake. I forgot to check what that was. It sounds fascinating. I hope it involves chocolate, but I suspect it might not. And then to Jeremy, who has turned 50 today, the big 50, over there in Virginia, who's been watching for 3.5 years. And well, Jeremy, thank you very much for watching, and we hope you have a brilliant day today. Oh, and then I need to say sorry, Martha. It was your birthday yesterday. I missed the email. We had a very nice email from your boyfriend Elijah, and yeah, that's just mea culpa. I'm so sorry, but you turned 23. You're doing a thesis in religious studies there in the Netherlands. And apparently you're a fan of oatmeal and black tea in the mornings. I wouldn't do well with that. I need at least some sugar in my breakfast. And you may have had hot pot for your birthday meal last night. Well, I hope you did, Martha. I hope you had a brilliant birthday. And I hope you managed to have some cake, some chocolate cake, of course. Now, the only other couple of things I want to mention, we have got this Sudoku Hunt for Children available now over on Patreon, themed on Super Mario Brothers. The initial comments have been great. And if you have a story about how your kids got on with the hunt, and especially if it converted them to Sudoku, we would love to hear from you. So please drop us an email, crackingthecryptic@gmail.com. And then the only other thing I need to do is to read out successful solvers of some of the successful solvers of April's reward over on Patreon, which is the Nightmare on Sudoku Street, of course, by the Sudoku Skunk Works. Very well done to Todd Warnken, Mark Tattersall, Kathy Bryant, Ethan Batty, Anna Killian, Vina Van Huysen, Michael Nazarchuk, Bill Alsop, Scott Lane, Bert Monroe, Jason Malutich, I think, Zdenik Pavlatka, Jeff and Emmy Nicholson, Thruday Malabotla, Doug Holman, Arna Kristen, Hazlitt92, and George White. Very well done. I applaud you all. That is some sensational solving. And now, let us have a look. Another long intro, sorry. And let's have a look at the chromatic windmill and see what Eric Rathbun has cooked up for us. These are the rules. I was just checking my screen was the right size. That would have been a disaster. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Clues outside the grid give the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal. So those 4 digits sum to 23. Those 6 digits sum to 28, etc. So we only get 3 of those clues. Those 4 sum to 19. Digits cannot repeat within a cage. Okay, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Given I think all of these cages are 9 cells large. Grey lines are palindromes, which must read the same backwards and forwards. So we've got 4 palindromes. So if we worked out this square was a 1, then this square would also have to be a 1, because we basically need to make sure that as we read the palindrome from this direction, you can see it would read 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. It must read identically from the other direction, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So it would, if that was true. And cells separated by a white dot must contain consecutive digits. We've got 2 of those, I think. So if this was a 1, that would have to be a 2. If this was a 2, that could be a 1 or a 3 to make sure the domino is consecutive. And then cells separated by a black dot contain digits with a 1:2 ratio, i.e. one digit must be double the other. So if this, oh hang on, that's not a black dot. If this was a 2, this could be a 1 or a 4 in order to be, so we're just making sure one digit in the domino is double the other one. Not all dots are given. So that means this domino, for example, if this was a 2, this could absolutely be a 4 or a 1 or a 3. There doesn't have to be a white or a black dot between two cells that exhibit the properties of white dot and black dot cells. It's just that we know specifically for these 4 dominoes the relationship applies. Now, do have a go. Eric's puzzles are always brilliant fun. I don't know how difficult this one is, but Eric's puzzles, I would say, are normally very slightly harder than average. That's where I'm expecting this to be. And the way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the first thing, let's just deal with that. Because each of these cages is 9 cells large, the whole, each one of these needs to contain every single Sudoku digit. Why is my phone buzzing at me? That's fine. Okay, so I think Well, the question, frankly, is going to be how do we colour this puzzle in efficiently? So for example, I'm just trying to pick a good cell that I can see. Yeah, I mean, look at those two cells, for example. These two cells, where do they go in this box? Let's ask that question. Now, because whatever these digits are, they can't repeat in their cage. They can't go in those three squares. They clearly can't go in those three squares, or they'd repeat in their row. So they live in two of these three squares. But because they also can't be here, that means they're on the palindrome there. So in fact, those two digits go there and there, therefore, in some order, which is which is not going to be as easy to figure out. And that logic, so that logic is going to be the same, isn't it, throughout the grid? So we could always pick up these two cells, and we know that they're going to go there and there. So that must be a relationship. We can do the same, whoopsie, the same there. Right, and okay, the thing I'm seeing here, the problem with this is this might not be the most efficient way of starting this puzzle, but it's the way it's. Let's start this. The thing I am seeing is that by focusing on this domino, you can see actually these digits in these dominoes all map into the central box, and therefore they must all be different. So we can say now that those two digits are different from those two digits, even though they're right across the other side of the grid in theory, because they map into the middle box. It's clear that purple cannot contain the same digits as green. Ah, right, okay, I'm going to carry on with this then, because now we can do simple Sudoku on orange, and because orange ends up there, those two cells are orange, aren't they? Okay, let's carry on with this. So those two are purple, these two are red, and these two are green. Now, okay, so now I'm looking at this cell. Oh, this might... I have a horrible feeling that I was meant to start with this cell, actually, now I think about it. That cell, we know that each of these cages contains every single digit. So this cell, whatever it is, does need to make an appearance in this cage. Well, where does it go? I can now see, now I focus on it, that this cell can only go there. Ah, okay, so that means well, it means we can differentiate between the flavours of red, can't we? So maybe what I have to do... Ooh, I don't know. I'm wondering whether to change red and divide it in half. So let's just say we made red. Well, actually, what colours have I not used that might be better? If I make this red and yellow... Well, no, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make this yellow and this red. Now we know this digit is the same as that digit, so that becomes yellow, which means this becomes yellow. Now I know these two are therefore in some way a yellow-red pair, but I don't think I can differentiate them. Now, can we do any better than that? Can we get this red nailed down anywhere? In this cage, this red has to be in one of those, well, it can't be here, so it has to be in one of those three positions. But if it was here, that doesn't work. Yeah, that's interesting. So this digit can't go there, because if it does, then by Sudoku we know that red is different from purple, so it would have to go here, which by palindrome would reflect red there, and you get 2 reds in box 1. So the red digit in this cage is now only in one of 2 places. It's in one of those 2 cells, which means, let's see if we can go further with this. Red is now in one of those 2 positions. Oh, that's gorgeous. Right, that's useful. Because now red and yellow, look, are a pair in these 2 cells. How weird is this? One of which is in this cage. And the slightly terrifying thing about all this, of course, is that this logic, I'm doing it for this cell, but I should be able to do it for all of the corner cells, shouldn't I? So we're going to get a very, very colourful grid. But what I think we need to do, if we possibly can, is to take yellow and red a little bit further. How? That's the question. How do we do that? Yellow is in one of those 2 cells, so that might be worth recognising. Which means yellow is not in these cells. Yet we know that yellow is different from orange by the central box. So yellow... Oh, so nearly really cool, this. So, well, it's true to say yellow's in one of these 3. And obviously, if I knew which one of these was yellow, I'd actually be able to... Oh, I see. All right, but that's still helpful. Because if yellow is in one of those 3, and it is within box 7, because it can't repeat in its cage and it can't be the same as orange, it's not that cell. So this cell becomes yellow, which means that cell is not yellow. Oh, this is lovely. It's absolutely lovely. So now I've nearly got all the yellows. I know one of these is yellow. And I know that red has to make an appearance in this one somewhere. Which, well, it just feels to me like it's going to be here. I say that without really any logical basis for that. I know it's not here. I know it's not here. It could be there. It could be there. It could be in either of these. I would love to be able to disambiguate these as well, these 2, because that would rule certain things out of this square. So if that's yellow, then that's yellow. Then yellow would be in one of those 2, which actually looks fine, doesn't it? If this is yellow, this is yellow, this is yellow, that would be yellow. But again, that doesn't feel like it might, it's obviously failing. Okay, so now I'm just pausing because I'm wondering whether if I pursue this logic with other colours, is it going to be helpful? So what's going to take me beyond the point I've got to with red and yellow is what I'm thinking about. I don't know is the answer, I'm afraid. But I suspect that it would be foolish not to at least attempt this. Okay, so I'm going to attempt the same with purple that I've just been doing with red and yellow. I have a feeling I'm missing something here. What could it be? Can we go further with red somehow? I might be flogging a dead horse. Right, let's look at purple. So purple, I'm going to have to differentiate between these two digits, aren't I? Because, well, oh yes, so purple is going to be restricted in this box. I see. So this square here, let's make this one a different colour then. What colours have we not used? I've not used blue. Oh, that's remiss. Okay, so we'll go purple for this one and blue for this one. So now we can see this has become purple, which means that one has to be blue. This is purple. Now that means one of those two is purple. And is that the same as the logic that we got? I mean, it must be the same as the logic I got with red and yellow. Yellow, yellow. Yes, but in the end, I should be able to work out, I think, that this is purple. Can't quite remember how I did that, but that ought to be possible. Okay, so let's go and have a look. So I know that one of these is purple, because purple and green are different. What about... Ah, yeah, okay. Oh no, sorry, I've got to be careful here, because this is purple and blue, and that's purple and blue. I was about to write blue into this square, but that would be totally and utterly nonsensical. Right, so how do we take this forward? I see. So therefore we look at this one and we say this cage has purple in it. So those squares don't have purple in it. Purple lives in one of these, which means that cannot be purple. So this is purple. This is blue. And then we can come down here perhaps and note that blue has to be in one of those cells. Now, I don't know if I did that the other way round. I must have done. What's the equivalent of those two squares regarding the yellow and the red? The yellow and the red cages. Why can't I just work that out? So it must be. Hang on a minute. Let me just think about this. It's this. Yeah, no, look. I haven't done it. Red in this box. It's not the same as green or orange, so it's in one of those two. This could be huge, maybe. Oh, yes, it is. It's beautiful. Okay, so where does red go in this box? Now, the answer is not in its own column. It could go here, but it can't go there because it would repeat in its cage. So it goes there, which means that square is no longer red, and that one is red. And all of a sudden, we have slightly improved our lot in life. Can I improve that any further? I don't know yet. I'm not sure. Okay, but that was exciting. Okay, so blue here. That can't be blue, so we get the blue here, which is the equivalent of what we've just done with red. So now blue here is in, it's either there or there, but it can't be on the palindrome there, so blue is placed here, which that's the equivalent of that red, so that's fine. Okay, so that's not surprising. And then blue in this box is not the same as green. Oh, look, this is different. This is different, because unless I'm mistaken now, if we stare very hard at these two cells, which are very complicated cells because of their chromatic sort of complexity, you can see in this box I've got blue and purple only in those two squares. So this is a blue-purple pair, which means amongst other things that must be red. So this is not capable of being red because these have to be blue and purple. This cannot be yellow. So we actually reach this situation. Oh, bobbins though, that doesn't. Well, no, it does. It does. It does. Where does red go in this box? Not here, not here. It's not the same as orange, it's not the same as blue. It can't go there because it would reflect on the palindrome to here and repeat in its box and column. So it goes there, and if that's red, that's yellow, that's red. And now I'm starting to believe in this method. And the reason I'm starting to believe is that all of a sudden we have basically placed, starting from this digit, we have managed to place all the reds and yellows. And that gives me comfort that this method works. I've just noticed something else, in fact. That's not yellow, which means that's yellow, and that's the palindrome. So we have now got 9 yellows, and I should have 9 reds, and I do. So each individual domino, we now know because of the symmetry of the puzzle, it is possible, if we can spot the logic in the way that we've just found it for yellow and red, it should be possible to colour this entire grid. And that then is going to lead us on to some magic, presumably with these dots and and the little killer clues. So all we've got to do, I say that with a measure of concern, all we've got to do is reperform that logic we've just done for purple and for blue. Okay, so how do we... Oh, and in fact we needed to do that because I needed to find that purple-blue pair in order to place my reds and yellows. So yeah, okay, so we may get stuck here on purple and blue until we go and look at, I don't know, either the double green or the orange domino in order to unstick ourselves. But, okay, let's start with, what can we say? Let's look at blue to start with. Have we got any way of improving our knowledge on blue? Don't think so. I'm not seeing anything obvious I've missed on blue. Let's try purple. If that's purple, how can that be purple? Well, that clearly cannot be purple. I don't know why that's even being viewed as a possibility. So therefore, I've got an extra purple. Don't know, actually. Okay, so we may have to... Do you think we have to go and look at another one? Now, I started here, didn't I? And then I went here. So I should look at this one in the hope that... Because the symmetry, therefore, suggests if we disambiguate these two, we should be able to finish our blues and purples. But let's see if that's true. So this one we know is the same as that one. So I need to give this its own colour. We'll give this the colour of... What colours have I not used? I've not used light green. I might make this grey, actually. So this is grey, therefore that's orange. So this is grey. These are grey and orange pairs. So now, okay, so therefore we should look where? I can't remember. I can't remember what the way to do it was. It's probably going to be... I know one of these is orange. Do I know which one? I know it's not the red, I suppose. One of those is orange. Let's label that up in case that becomes useful. Okay, yes. Where does orange go in this column? It can't be the same as that, can't be the same as that. So we place orange here, which means orange is in one of these cells, which places, that places orange over here. Okay, so we're reinventing the logic slowly but surely. Now I get a grey here, which means one of these is grey, which means that's grey by SUDOKU, which means grey is in one of those two cells by SUDOKU. Can it be here? Yes. It's actually getting, the other thing that's getting interesting now is that this box, or this cage, for example, is getting really packed. So we need to be aware of the fact that I do need to include every single colour in this cage. I have a feeling there's a reason that has to be grey. Yeah, that does have to be grey. I think that's the equivalent of sort of that one, isn't it? If that was grey, that would be grey and it would clash. So that's not grey, which means this is grey. And now what does this mean? So now we're going to get this same, it's the same thing. Here we are. We have done it properly, because now we get grey here and I think orange. So in this box now, the only two cells that apparently can be grey and orange are those two. That shunts blue out of this square and into this square, and purple out of this square and into one of these. And then we are we cooking with gas? This blue needs to do some work, because surely that's the equivalent of whatever it was we did over on this side with reds and yellows, isn't it? Yeah, so so there must be a reason about something to do with this digit, possibly. No, we got double yellow, which is that one. So I ought to be able to get double purple here. So there must be a reason this isn't purple. What's that? I don't know, is the short answer. I'm sure it's fairly obvious, but I'm not sure. Sorry. Okay. This is odd as well, isn't it? Because this box is all but filled. The only thing we've got white is this domino, which therefore I think that's got to be this digit. Because once we disambiguate greens, we're going to have we're going to have these two cells dealt with. They're going to be two colours. So I think that one somehow maps to here, which might be interesting as well. Okay, so how do I must be able to go further than this, because I could go further than this for yellow and red. Now, so if this was purple, which is I think the situation I'm not expecting, then that would be purple. This would be no, maybe it's to do with blue, actually. I can see something to do with blue that's interesting. I don't think I did it this way before, but if that's blue and that's blue, where do you put blue in this box? And you have to put it there, and then it reflects on the palindrome and sees itself. So that must be blue. This must be purple. And if that's true, that is not purple. This is purple, and then that's purple, and that's what we were expecting. That's not purple. This is therefore purple. How many purples have we got? All of them. How many blues have we got? Not all of them, but we will have once we put that one in by Sudoku. And then, look what's going on here. So again, in this box, these two cells now are this digit. So we've got to come up with a middle colour. Let's go with black. Yeah, that's very clear. I can actually see that. So black is making an appearance. That's got to be a black digit. Oh, this is getting very, very exciting now. And the next thing we're going to do, perhaps the simpler thing, is going to, simpler in inverted commas, is going to be to work through the double green situation. When I say double green, it's because I've only got one colour left and it's light green. So I'm going to transform this into light green. And that means that's got to be light green by palindrome. But more to the point, that one becomes that one because it needs to exist in this cage. This has got to be green. Maybe it gets easier because, yeah, look, this is getting easier because there's so few cells left. So that's got to be black now. This being light green makes that light green. We've not put light green in this column, so it's got to go here. We can't make this light green or it would reflect here, so that's got to be light green. Which is great because it means that this has got to be light green, which means one of these is dark green. Oh, and I'm going to expect that based off the other logic to be this one, aren't I? This is going to be a double. This is going to be a dark green pair is what I expect. But let's just try and see if we can go a little bit further. Yeah, okay, so I think the simple way to do this is to say, where is light green in this shape? Now if it goes here, then that has to be light green by Sudoku. That will reflect on the palindrome. We'll get two light greens here. So one of these is light green in this shape, and it can't be that one. So it's got to be that one. And now by Sudoku, this has to be light green. But by Sudoku, therefore this has to be, you've guessed it, dark green. Therefore that must be grey. And that disambiguated some. Now in this top row we've not put in the black digit, so that must go there. This square must be dark green, therefore that's dark green by palindrome. This is the black digit. We're nearly there. And okay, and what? Oh, hang on. Right, what about this row then? It seems like this has got to either be orange or grey. And that is going to create an orange-grey pair, which means that can't be orange. So that must be orange. Therefore, this square's got to be the black digit. So this has got to be the black digit. Orange reflects on the palindrome here. So that's going to become grey, because we worked out before it's either grey or orange. This becomes orange, so this becomes grey. And this is a proper colouring exercise, isn't it? Okay, have I done it? When I say done it, I mean coloured the entire thing. Let me just stare at this for a second or two. It could be correct. It felt logical. Alright, so what do we do now? So therefore, well, okay, I can see one thing, which is that the middle digit of the grid, I want to say that's got to be a 2 or a 4. And the reason I say that is look at the black dots. Now, a black digit, which is these two digits, maps to two different numbers. So if we think about the numbers that we can put on black dots in Sudoku, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8. That's all of them. And the 3, 6 pair is ruled out now, because if this was 3 or 6, then this would be 3 or 6, that would be 3 or 6, but this would need to not be 3 or 6, and that's not going to work. So we're only looking at the set of digits 1, 2, 4 and 8 now, and we can't partner 1 or 8 with two different digits. So 1 and 8 cannot be the black digits, so the black digits are 2 or 4. And they are mapping, so if this was 2, these would have to be 1 and 4. And if this was 4, this would have to be 2 or 8. Oopsie, where's 8 gone? So if that was 4 and that was 8, that would be 4 and that would be 2. Okay, so all of the black cells, therefore, are 2 or 4, for what that's worth. So this is odd and is 1, 3 or 5. Oh, look, this is what's going on now. So, okay, now we've got 1, 3 or 5 here by white dot equivalence, because we need consecutive digits there. We've got 2 greens on the 23 diagonal. Oh, I see. But look, I can do some more mapping here. Grey which is this digit, is always 1, 2, 4 or 8. So let's put that in, and hopefully what we're going to find at some stage is that these diagonals become useful. Red is always 1, 3 or 5. Blue is always 1, 3 or 5. Okay. That doesn't necessarily fill me with joy, I have to say. Okay, so how do we do this then? We could... There's an awful lot of stuff along here, isn't there, this 28? Oh, we've got 2 purples here, which we haven't locked in. I'm just wondering if I can... If this was 8, then this would be 4, so this would be 2. So we go 8, 4, 4, 2. So light green would be 2. Don't know where that goes. And those, okay, these, oh, I suppose, hang on, can we do some parity stuff? These 2 digits, whatever they are, have to add up to be an even number, because if they're both odd, there's still 2 of them. So these add up to an even number, so these have to add up to an odd number. And that's already odd. Oh, that's it. Oh, no, it's not it. Well, that's already odd. So this must be even, so it's not 1. There we go. We've got a slight improvement on the world. So now grey, wherever grey lives, is not 1. So is it parity? Ah! Okay, I could have run that parity argument on the 23 clue as well, look. Because we've got two dark greens, so they were always going to be even. This was always odd, so this needs to be even to preserve parity. That's a shame. Okay, but that's at least the right sort of thinking, I suspect. Oh, that green is 2, 4 or 8, and I haven't labelled it round the grid. So this oh, I was getting very excited about this one, but it's not on a diagonal. It's this one that's on a diagonal. You silly man. Okay. Orange and purple. Do we know anything about those at all? I don't think we do. And if we got rid of 1 from grey, what are we doing then? Why can't that be 1? That doesn't make sense to me. Why wasn't 1 an option for light green? I don't understand. Surely 1 should have been an option for light green. It was an option for light green. Why did it go away? 1, 3, 5. Oh, you know what I did? Look. When I highlighted all of the cells, the grey cells, I think I double clicked on them, and it looks like it's also included in the highlighting this one for some reason. So that is very much not what I intended. I don't think we can be sure that this isn't a 1. There might be another way of ruling that out, but I don't think we're there yet. Okay, so can we say anything about parity in this diagonal? We've got an even here. The 2 blue digits will have to add up to an even number, so we're on even. Then we're on odd once we go through the red. So we're on an odd total, which means that these two have to have different parity. So orange and purple have different parity. Orange and purple have different parity. I don't think that's good enough, is it? Okay, I think we're going to have to think harder about whether or not... It feels difficult to me for blue to be 1. Because if blue is 1, then black is 2, isn't it? And this will be a 3. And that means on this diagonal we're going to have 2 1s and a 3, which add up to 5. And then grey, what's grey going to be? Grey is going to be a 4 then. Grey is going to be 4. So we're going to have, so we're on 5. We're going to have 9 at this point. And we have to get to 28. We can't do it. There's no way you can make these two big enough. Because, let's do this slowly so we can agree it. And I can agree it with myself. So if this is 1, you can see that that forces a 2 here. Now this cannot this is a 2, but this is going to have to be a 3 because it can't be a 1 because 1 is blue. So we're going to get this arrangement along this diagonal, and the grey digit, which is this digit, and has to be in a 1 to 2 ratio with, and doesn't seem to be able to be 1, so that will have to be 4, which makes that 4. And unless I'm wrong, I've got 9 here, which means these add up to 19. And there's no numbers that are going to work. So that feels relatively sensible, doesn't it? So we can get rid of all of the blue cells. Now let's be careful about this. All of the blue cells are not 1s. Now, of course, what I'm next going to do is to try and repeat that trick with red, although this might be tricky, because that's going to allow these to grow. So if red is 1, then we've got this situation. So we've got double 3 now on the diagonal. This is still 2, so this is still 4. So we get this pattern. But now we've got 11, which means these have to add up to 17, and they have to be an 8-9 pair. And that doesn't work either. That's beautiful. Wow. Okay, this is beautiful. Why doesn't this work? Well, this doesn't work because making this an 8 or a 9, given that this would be a 4, is going to break the 19 diagonal. If this was double 8 even, double 8 plus 4 is already 20. It won't work. If it's double 9, it's even worse. So this is great. Okay, so that means we can get rid of 1 in red. So let's go to the colours, double click red, get rid of 1. And now, if you can't include 1 as a consecutive, how could grey, this colour, no, it's the black colour, isn't it? How could the black colour ever be 2? It can't be, because it needs 2 different consecutive digits, neither of which can be 1 in red and blue. So in fact, we've now worked out the central digit of the puzzle is a 4, which means that this square is not a 1. Oh, so I've ended up where I was before with green, but I've done it logically this time. Greens and greys obviously can't be 4s, so I think we can do that. Now, have we now understood the puzzle a bit better? Don't know yet. Maybe. So that can still be relatively large. I mean, we're obviously going to be able to come up with minimum values for green. So green? I'm just wondering which one of these is going to be the most constrained. I mean, 2 and 8 have actually got quite far apart now, haven't they? So we've either got double 3 and a 5 here. But then whether this is 2 or 8, we don't know. What's the thing that differentiates light grey with light green? It's only this, I think. Okay. Okay, so what digits? I've only got, the only even digit I've got left is 6. I've got 6, 1, 7 and 9, haven't I, to play with. So these two digits are from 6, 1, 7 and 9. Presumably this can't be 1, I'm thinking. Yeah, this can't be 1 because there's 2 of it. And then even if I add 8 to it, this would still need to be very big. So 6, 7 or 9 is the digit for purple. And if we put double 9 in there, that's too much. So now we're on 6 or 7. We might be able to do this with the 19 diagonal. If this is double 7, we need 5 more, and we can do it with a 2-3 pair. Okay, if that's double 6, we need 7 more, which we would do with a 5-2 pair. So is this ever 8? No, clearly not. That's it. This cannot be 8, because if it was, given this has to be 6 or 7, it can never be correct. So that's 2, which means that green is 8. So we can double click the greens, make them, whoopsie, make those 8. Double click the greys, make those 2. So we've now got a 2 on this diagonal. And we've got a 2 here. Oh, but that can go with 3 or 5. We still don't know what purple is. Purple, so let's double click those in case they're on another diagonal I've not noticed. I don't think that. No, they're not. They're not. So we've got double green, which has got to be from the 1, 6, 7, 9 setup, hasn't it? So what can we get rid of here? We can get rid of 1. And if we had double 9, no, that might work. Double 7, 14, 16. No, nothing works apart from double 9, in fact, along this diagonal, because we need those to add up to 21. And the maximum this can be is 5. So we need at least a double 8, and double 8 isn't available. So dark green is 9, which means that that's not 9, I suppose. So dark green is 9. So now along this diagonal, I'm sceptical that this can't be 1. I suspect this has got to be a 6, 7 pair, but then let's just pause for thought there. I don't know how we differentiate the 6, 7. I'm sure there's going to be a way, but let's check this now. So if blue is 5, we've got 13, 7, we've got 13, 15, let's not get the maths wrong, and we need another 13, which would be a 6, 7 pair. That's if blue is 5. And if blue is 3, we need more, which we can't get. We can't get more than those being a 6, 7 pair. So let's just double check that. If we go double 3 here, for 6, 8, and 13, then we need 15 here, and we can't get it. So this is a 6, 7 pair. We need the blues to be 5, so let's double click the blues. They are 5s. Double click the reds. They are 3s. Double click the oranges. They are all 6s and 7s. Yellow, we can see, has become 1. We haven't put 1 in the grid yet. And something, so I see. So now we know red being 3, we can disambiguate the final part of this. So we need 14s, we need 7s. So purple has to be 7, orange has to be 6. Yes, done it. That was very clever, wasn't it? My goodness me. There's quite a lot going on there. How easy was that puzzle? I don't know. I don't think I made it very easy for myself. I think I should have just started with the corners. Or, actually, perhaps I should have started with the middle, thinking about it. Maybe if you just ascribe a colour to each of the middle cells, because you know they're all different, and they're all on palindromes, you can just start plotting them around the grid. Yeah, that might have been a better way to approach it. I just didn't think of it. And it's quite, it's quite a tricky sort of arithmetic problem at the end. It's very much a whittling down exercise, isn't it? And sort of finding out that you could not put low digits, especially in red and blue, was crucial. It's very, very clever to do that in such a symmetrical way. The chromatic windmill, indeed. We have tilted at windmills Don Quixote style today and come up in the end trumps. So, on to Toronto, pronto, tonto. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.